All right, welcome back everyone to Vuln Vibes, and today we're going to be doing another WP Safe block.
Yeah.
So today we're diving into, our daily summary of high and critical WordPress vulnerabilities.
Right.
And for our listeners out there, you guys are all security pros.
Yes.
So, we know you already know all about things like UMIDA, TT and TK and kill chains.
Absolutely.
So we're going to just get right into analyzing the trends and giving a high-level view.
Exactly. We want to be efficient here.
Yeah, exactly. Let's sift through all the noise and figure out, what are the big things that are impacting the WordPress security landscape right now?
The things that really matter.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing, one theme that just keeps popping up over and over again is vulnerabilities in these WordPress plugins.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like a broken record at this point.
I know. You'd think we'd learn our lesson.
Right. But the consequences are, far from trivial.
Absolutely.
So what are we seeing in the roundup today?
Well, we've got vulnerabilities in plugins, all over the board, from appointment scheduling to backup solutions.
Oh, wow.
It really proves that no plugin is immune to security flaws, no matter how popular or widely used it is.
Yeah.
Take the appointment booking calendar plugin, for example.
Okay.
Versions up to 1.6.8.5 have a vulnerability that allows for arbitrary shortcode execution.
Wait, hold on. Break that down for me a little bit. What does arbitrary shortcode execution actually mean for website owners?
Well, it means an attacker could, inject malicious code into the site.
Oh, okay.
And this code can do all sorts of nasty things, like redirect visitors to fake payment pages to steal their credit card information.
Oh, wow.
And all of this happens without the attacker needing to log in.
That's scary.
It is. And it's a good reminder that even those popular plugins, the ones with thousands of users, can still have these huge security flaws.
It's easy to just assume they're safe because everybody uses them.
Yeah.
So what other plugin vulnerabilities are we seeing out there?
Well, there's also the all-in-one WP migration and backup plugin.
Okay.
It's got a PHP object injection vulnerability.
Ooh. Now that one sounds a bit more complex.
Yeah.
Okay, can you walk me through that one?
Sure. So to exploit this vulnerability, an attacker would need to trick an administrator into, exporting and then restoring a specially crafted backup.
Okay, that sounds tricky.
It does, right. But think about it. Backups and restores are routine tasks.
Right, you don't think twice about it.
Exactly. So it could easily slip under the radar.
Yeah, that's sneaky. So what kind of damage could an attacker do with this vulnerability? What's the worst case scenario?
Well, the severity really depends on whether a POP chain is present, via other installed plugins or themes.
Right.
So imagine it like a series of dominoes.
Okay.
One vulnerability triggers another, and it leads to this whole cascade of exploits.
Oh, wow.
And in a worst-case scenario, it could give an attacker full control of the site.
Oh, no.
They could delete files, steal data, even inject their own gain.
That's a hidden danger if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
It just highlights how important it is to not only keep your plugins updated, but to really understand the potential risks associated with even those routine tasks.
Exactly. It's not just about installing updates and forgetting about it. You need to be aware of what you're doing and the potential consequences.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of vulnerabilities that can really catch you off guard, let's talk about stored cross-site scripting, or XSS.
Oh, yeah.
The Oppressor plugin, which is used for building mobile apps, is dealing with this right now. So for people who might not know, what's the deal with stored cross-site scripting?
Well, in a nutshell, attackers inject malicious scripts into website pages.
Okay.
And then these scripts are stored on the server.
Okay.
And they just sit there like a trap, waiting for an unsuspecting user to visit the page.
So basically, the Oppressor plugin is the potential trap door in this case.
That's a good way to put it. And it reminds us that these vulnerabilities can pop up in all kinds of plugins.
Right, not just the ones that seem obviously related to security.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of recurring threats, we can't forget about our old friend SQL injection.
Ah, yes. SQL.
It never seems to go away, no matter how many times we think we've squashed it.
It's like a cockroach. It always finds a way to survive.
And this time, the Ariel Brailovsky viral ad plugin is serving up not one, but two SQL injection vulnerabilities.
Double trouble.
Yeah. And you might think that's bad, but it gets worse.
Oh.
Both vulnerabilities are exploitable on older versions of WordPress.
Oh, so sites running outdated software are particularly at risk.
Exactly. It's a stark reminder that those legacy systems are prime targets for attackers.
They're counting on the fact that outdated software probably doesn't have the latest security patches.
Right. And that makes them much easier to exploit.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here today, a lot of scary stuff. What are the key takeaways that our listeners should really keep in mind?
I think the most important thing, above all else, is keep those plugins updated. It's basic cybersecurity hygiene, but it's still the most effective way to protect yourself from these known vulnerabilities.
I completely agree. It's easy to get behind on updates, but it's so crucial to prioritize them, especially for those plugins that handle sensitive data or have access to those critical functions of your website.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, don't underestimate the threat of SQL injection.
Yeah.
It's still a major attack vector, even for those really popular plugins. So make sure your security practices, like input validation and parameterized queries, are strong and up to date.
Solid advice. Anything else?
And finally, just be aware that even those routine actions, like backups and restores, can be exploited. Understand the potential risks associated with administrative tasks and take those appropriate precautions. Use strong passwords, enable two-factor authentication, and never let your guard down.
Excellent points. Well, I think we've analyzed the trends, unpacked these vulnerabilities, and armed you with some actionable insights. But before we go, we want to leave you with this thought. How can we, as a community, better address this ongoing challenge of plugin vulnerabilities in the WordPress ecosystem? It's a complex issue, no easy answers, but it's a conversation worth having. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll catch you next time on Vuln Vibes for another deep dive into the world of WordPress security.